Hey everyone, welcome back to Code with Poonam. It's day 71 of our 100 days of coding challenge in JavaScript. And today's challenge is taken from the Goovy's Codekata platform. And I would like to give special thanks to Goovy for providing such an interesting challenges to sharpen our problem solving skills. So here is the question and we have here input and output description as well. And here is the sample input and output. So everything I have taken into my VS Code and we are going to proceed with this challenge in the VS Code. Okay, so let us come to our VS Code. Yes, so this is our problem statement, right? And this is our sample input and output. Okay, so now what is the question? They have said that you have been given with a task and your task is to print whether an array is majestic or not. And they have said a majestic array is an array whose sum of first three numbers is equal to the last three numbers. Okay, and if an array is majestic, we have to print 1. And if it is not, then we will have to print 0. Okay, so here we have what input and output examples, correct? We will come here and first we are going to break this particular question. So we have to write a JS function. Okay, so I will write here what JS function. Okay, after that, what is the next important part? That we have to print whether an array is majestic or not. Okay, so that also I am going to take it here. Okay, after that, what it has been said in the next line, that an array is an majestic only if the sum of first three number is equal to the last three numbers, right? So that also let us take here and we will put it over here. Okay, and after that they have said that print 1 if an array is majestic. Okay, so we will take this and we will put it over here. So these are the 4 important lines which are important, right? So first is what? JS function. Then we have to find out whether it is a majestic or not. What is a majestic array? They said the sum of the first 3 elements is equal to the last 3 elements, right? And if it is a majestic array, then you have to print 1. And if it is not, you will have to print 0. Okay. So these are the most important lines of our question. Okay. Now we will come here at line number 10 and we will define our function name as what is majestic. Okay. Why is majestic? Because we have to find here, right, whether an array is majestic or not, right? So let us come here and we will define our function name as what is majestic. Okay. Now let us come down and we will understand our input and output. So what is the input here? It is 1, 2, 3, 6 and 00, right? So let us take this particular input. Okay. Now what is the sum of the first 3 elements here? 1 plus 2 plus 3, that is nothing but 6, right? After that, sum of the last 3 elements is what? 6 plus 0 plus 0 is equal to 6. And if you compare it, 6 is equal to 6. What it is? It is true, right? That means it is a majestic array. So I will take here and I'll put it over here. So what it is? It is a majestic array. And that is where we have to print what? 1. That is why you are getting here output as 1. Now let us go for the second input. Okay, so this is our second input array. So let us take it and we will put it over here. Okay, now we will come here and we will add our first 3 elements. Okay, so we will write here what? 1 plus 2 plus 3. This is nothing but 6, right? And what is the last 3 elements sum? It will be 5 plus 0 plus 0, right? That is nothing but 5. So if you now compare 6 is equal to 5, what it is going to give you? It will give you false, right? And that is where we know it is not a majestic array, right? So we will take this and we will put it over here. Now, since if it is not a majestic array, what we have to print? We have to print 0. That is where you get here in the output 0 and here you get in the output as 1. Okay, now we have understood how we are reaching to the output. So we will come down and we will write here our approach. Okay, so let us write the approach. I will write here approach. Okay, now in this question, we know we have to calculate the sum, right? That also we know we have to compare also. So what do we understood from this particular lines? That we have to calculate the sum. Okay, we have to compare also, right? And we also understood that for doing a sum of the elements, we will have to use a loops, right? So that is where we are going to use all this three, okay? So here we will have to take not one loop, we are going to take here what? Two loops, okay? So we will take what? Our I loop will be there, and we are going to take our J loop also. So I will write here what? I loop and J loop, okay? So these are the two loops which I am going to write it for this question, okay? Now you will say why two loops? Because our I loop will what do? It is going to give us the sum of the first three elements, okay? So I will take this and I will put it over here, okay? So it will calculate, okay? So I'll write here what? It will calculate the sum of the first three numbers, or you can say sum of the first three elements, okay? Then what will our J loop will do? It is going to calculate the sum of the last three elements, okay? So let me take this and I will put it over here and I will write here what? Last three. Okay, that is what we are going to do, okay? So let me just write here what? Last. So this will be our I loop and J loop job, okay? Now, since we have to calculate the sum also, so we need here what? Two variables, right? So I will come here and I will declare a two variables as what? Sum, first three, okay? And then I will initialize it with 0, okay? And another variable I'm going to create here what? Sum, last three, and I will initialize it with 0, okay? And first of all, we will test it for this input, okay? Now let us see how we are going to write a loop, okay? So I will write here our first loop, that will be our I loop. So I will write here what? For, and I will write here what? Let I is equal to 0, and where it is going to end? It will end at 2, because 0, 1 and 2, right? So our loop should only run here how many times? It should run only 3 times, right? That is what we want. So that is why I will write here what? I should be less than 3. Then only it will run from 0 to 2, right? That is what we want. And we will write here what? I plus plus, okay? We will increment it, okay? Now we will have what? Our flower braces, right? Now inside this flower braces, we are going to what do? We are going to calculate the sum of the first three elements. So I will write it over here. Now how we are going to write it? Now we have here what? Our variable called as a sum first three. Why we declared it? Because we are going to store the sum of the first three elements here. And how we are going to write? We will write here what? Sum of plus is equal to our ARR of I, right? That is what, how it is going to be. Ideally, what it is at the end of the day, it is sum first three is equal to sum first three and plus ARR of I, right? So it is going to accumulate all the total and it is going to finally get updated in which variable? Sum first three variable, right? And that is where we will get the addition of the first three elements, right? So this will be our I loop, okay? Now let us go for the second loop, that is nothing but the J loop, okay? Now first we will understand where our J loop is going to start and where it is going to end, okay? So let us come here and we will take this input array, okay? And we will put it over here, okay? Now what is this length of this input array? It is nothing but 7. If you count also, till here we know it is 4, then we have 5, then we have 6 and we have 7, okay? So we have total of 7, okay? Now we have to calculate the sum of last 3, right? So let us just subtract it minus 3 from here. Now what do we get? 7 minus 3 is nothing but what? 4. Let us check. So 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. If you see 4 is coming at 6, that means this 4 is nothing but the correct index number, right? So we are going to target with this 4. So our start point will be for this particular input, it will be 4. And where it should end? It should end at 6, right? 4, 5 and 6. So the loop is again going to run from 4 to 6, right? 4, 5 and 6. So where it is going to start then? It will start at our ARR dot length minus 3, right? And where it will end? It will end at ARR dot length minus 1. And if I have to write the same inside our loop, let us see how we are going to write. So I will write here what for let j is equal to arr dot length minus 3, correct? And where it should end, arr dot length minus 1. So here I will write j should be less than arr dot length, right? With respect to this input only I am considering. J less than 7 means it is going to run till 6. So 4, 5 and 6, that means 3 iteration is going to happen, correct? And I will write here what? J plus plus, correct? So that is what we are going to do it. And in this flower braces, again, we will have to calculate what? Sum of the last 3 elements. So I will take this and we will put it over here, okay? So let us write it here. Now, how we are going to do it? So I will take this variable which we have declared, sum last 3, correct? And we will write here what? Plus is equal to our ARR of J. This is nothing but the same. Sum last 3 is equal to sum of last 3 plus ARR of J, correct? That is what we are going to do, and it will accumulate all the addition, and finally we will get inside this particular variable, that is sum last 3, right? And that is why we will get our sum of first 3 also and sum of last 3 also, right? And then, so guys, this is not the end of the solution for this question. Here we have to determine whether an array is what? A majestic array or not, right? So I'll write here majestic or not, correct? That is what we have to find. So for that, we will have to do a comparison check, correct? Now, what will be the comparison check? That if our sum of first 3 is equal to our sum of last 3, okay? Then it will be what? It will be a majestic array, okay? And if it is a majestic array, then we have to print here 1. That is what it was been said. And if it is not true, that means if the result comes out to be false, then it will be what? Not a majestic array, and we have to print here what? 0. So that is what it is going to be. So here we will come and I will write here true. So if this condition turns out to be true, then it will be a majestic array and we have to print 1. And if this condition turns out to be false, then we have to write here what? Not a majestic array, and we have to print what? 0. That is what we have to do. So for that, here we will be using what? If condition, correct? And in that if condition, we are going to pass. So I will write here what? If sum of first 3 is equal to sum of last 3. And if this is true, then you please print us for 1. So I will write here print 1. Otherwise, you please print 0. That is what it was been said to us. So this is our final output. So either we are going to get 1 or we are going to get 0, okay? Depending upon our array. So if you see this particular input, our first one is what? Majestic. And second input array is not a majestic array, right? Now we have understood. Now we will do the same thing inside our function also. So let us come down. We will write here what? Function, and our function name will be what? Is majestic, right? And we will quickly invoke it. So I will write here what? Is majestic, and we will pass our first input array, okay? So let us come here and take this input array from here and we will put it inside our function call, okay? So at line number 58, we will pass here as an argument and we will receive here as an params, right? So I will write here ARR and let us just console it out. So I will write here what? Console.log ARR. Now let us come here and test it in the terminal. So I will write here what? Node day 71 challenge and we will hit enter. What we got? We got our input array, right? Now we will come here and first of all, we are going to declare our variables, okay? So what we decided that it will be what? Sum of first 3, right? And we will initialize it with 0, right? Then we will come here and we will declare here what? Sum of last three, and we will initialize it with 0. Why we have declared it and initialized it with 0? Because it is going to accumulate our sum inside this, right? Now let us come here and we will write our both the loops, okay? So I am going to write here what? For, and I will write here what? Let I is equal to 0 and I should be less than 3, right? And we are going to increment it, correct? And inside this, we will first see how many times this loop is running. So I will write here what? Console.log of I, and we will clear the terminal and rerun it. I will write here what? Node day 71 challenge, and we will hit enter. We got here what? 0, 1 and 2, right? That means it is running only 3 times, and therefore we can easily get our addition now, right? So what we will do? We will write here what? Sum of first 3 plus is equal to our ARR of I, right? That is nothing but this itself, right? We have written here. So here it means this only. Now let us come here and we will just console the sum of first 3, okay? So I will write here what? Console.log, and I will put this first inside the double quotes, and we will put colon, and then I will write here comma, and we will pass this as a variable, okay? Now we will come here and we will clear the terminal, and I will write here what? Node day 71 challenge, and if we hit enter, what do we get? Sum of first 3 is what? 6. That is why I wrote it like this, okay? So that we can see properly in our terminal, okay? Now let us come here and we will write our second loop. So what is our second loop? That is nothing but our J loop. So I will write here what? For J is equal to ARR dot length minus 3, correct? And where it is going to end? It will end at our ARR dot length minus 1. Therefore, I will write here J should be less than ARR dot length, right? And I will write here what? J plus plus. Now inside this, again, I am going to just console and show you how many times this loop is also going to run and from what index to what index, okay? So I will write here what? Console.log of J, and we will come here and clear the terminal and let us rerun it. So node day 71 challenge, and we will hit enter. What do we got? 4, 5 and 6, right? So now we can easily calculate the sum, right? So we will come here and we will write here what? Sum of last 3 plus is equal to our ARR of J. And we will come here and we will write here what? Console.log, okay? And we will just print also our sum of last 3 elements, okay? So I will write here what? Console.log sum of last 3 colon I will write, and now I'll put comma and I'll put it as a variable, okay? Now let us clear the terminal and see what output we are going to get. So I will write here what? Node day 71 challenge and hit enter. We got here sum of last 3, right? So if you see sum of first 3 and sum of last 3 is the same, right? Now, therefore, we can see we are getting here what? In the first output, it is 1. So we have to get this output as 1, right? Now we will do what? Our comparison check we have to do, correct? So let us come down and let us do our comparison check. So we will write here what? Our if condition, right? So I will write here if our sum of first 3 is equal to sum of last 3, then you please come here and print what? 1, right? So I will write here console.log of 1, right? And then if not, then you please print console.log of 0. So let me write here console.log of 0, and let us come here and clear the terminal and we will rerun it one more time. So I'll write here CLS and node day 71 challenge and hit enter. We got here what? 1. That means it is equal, right? Now let us test it for the another input also. So we will take this another input array and we will pass it to our function, okay? So let us come here and we will invoke it one more time. Is Majestic, right? And let us pass this input array, okay? So we will come here and we will write here what? Node day 71 challenge and we will hit enter. What do we got here? Sum of last 3 is what? 5 and sum of first 3 is what? 6. And we are getting here what? 0. That is what we also calculated and we also got the same, right? See here for the second input array, it was 6 and 5 and that is where it is printing 0, correct? So we have got here, right? Now let us come here and we will remove the console.log statements, okay, which are not required. So line number 56 we will remove, 61 we will remove, 64 also not needed, 67 also, and the last one is what? 70, right? Now let us clear the terminal and we will rerun it. So I will write here what CLS and then note day 71 challenge and we will hit enter. What we got? 1 and 0. That means for this input, we are getting 1 and for this input we are getting 0, right? So this is what it was expected from us and we have easily find out what it is a majestic array or not, right? Now let us come here and we will have a quick recap of this particular question, okay? So let us come above and what is our question? We have been provided with a task to print whether an array is majestic or not. A array is a majestic only if the sum of first three elements is equal to the last three elements, right? And they also said you have to print 1 if an array is majestic and print 0 if it is not, right? And they gave here our input and output, right? So first of all, what we did, we took the important part from this question, right? So we wrote here what? JS function and we defined our function name as what? Is majestic, right? And this were the important chunks of our question, right? Then we came down and we understood how we are reaching to the output, correct? Then after understanding, we wrote our approach, okay? Then we understood from this particular line number 15 to 23, there we will have to do the sum, we will have to use the loops and we will have to compare also, right? That is why we have written here what? Sum, compare and loop, correct? Now, after that, we used here two loops, right? First was our I loop and second was our J loop, right? Then we calculated with the help of our I loop, the sum of first three elements and our J loop was calculating our sum of last three elements, right? And we initialized two variable here also with a 0 because the addition accumulation has to be stored inside this variables, right? Then we came at line number 34 and we wrote our loop and we understood that since we have to calculate the sum of three elements, so we have to run this loop three times, right? And here also we have to make sure for our J loop also it is running three times. So here the logic was easy because we have to start from 0 and we have to end where at 2. That is where we wrote less than 3, right? And we did here addition, right? Then we came here at line number 40 and we understood for J loop, what will be the start point, what will be the end point, right? So what will be our start point? It will be ARR dot length minus 3 and what will be the end point? ARR dot length minus 1. So we wrote the same thing inside this also. J should be is equal to ARR dot length minus 3 and J should be less than ARR dot length, right? That is what we did and then we calculated here some of the last three elements also. So after that, we wrote a comparison check to find out whether an array is majestic or not. For that, what we did, we wrote here our if condition and inside an if condition, we passed a condition that sum of first three is equal to sum of last three. Then you please print 1. That is where we consoled 1 and else otherwise you print 0, right? That is where depending upon the array, we will get 1 and 0. If it's a majestic array, we will get 1. If it's not a majestic array, we will get 0, right? Then at line number 55, we came and we defined our function name as what? Is majestic. And we were receiving here as in params our array, right? Then at line number 56, we just consoled it out and tested in the terminal, correct? Then line number 57 and 58, what we did? We initialized the variables with 0. This is the place where our sum will be stored, right? Then we wrote our I loop, we wrote our J loop, we understood the iterations also, and we understood that what will be the value of each sum, right? So sum of first three and sum of last three. Then we did a comparison check here and we printed in the console our 1 and 0 depending upon our input array. So if you clear the terminal and rerun it one more time, you will get your exact output. So note day 71 challenge and if I hit enter, I got here what? 1 and 0. That is what it was expected from us, right? So guys, I will tell you why this challenge is useful, okay? This challenge strengthens our array manipulation and conditional logical skills, okay? It's particularly useful for working with cumulative sums and validating conditions based on subsets of data, okay? And that's all for today, guys. I want you all to try out with different input arrays, okay? And also explore the Movies Code Kata page. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more exciting coding challenges. So till then, keep coding, keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.